Good afternoon, and welcome to the Ogden City Council special meeting for Monday, Monday, January 6th, 2014. Let the roll call reflect that all council members are present. Now I'll have Vice Chair Garner lead us in a Pledge of Allegiance.
Would everyone please rise and repeat after me? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Now we'd ask that you join us in a moment of silence. Thank you. First up is council business. First are the council norms and rules of procedure. Proposed resolution 2013-26.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's important that you take action on some changes to the rules and norms if you're going to proceed with the election of your chair and vice chair in particular. There's been quite a bit of dialogue over the past month regarding that, and what's proposed does modify that. So I'd like to just briefly go through the changes. And actually, what's included is our changes that have been proposed throughout the year. You've had quite a bit of dialogue about them, several work sessions, a number of changes. So I don't know that I want to go through all the detail. The packet that we provided to you and for the public included all of the changes highlighted, also highlighted in the resolution, and then the clean copy as well. So I think the major change, which is language that you just have seen as of Friday, actually, so I don't know if you have discussion regarding that, is to abandon the process for straw polling and to have a process in your regular meeting, which would occur today. It's on your agenda to elect, and a process that's used, throughout the state, basically, of nominations. And then one thing that has been added is comments from those who've been nominated. That's new. And then you would have consideration. So the consideration occurs in the order of those nominated. So do you have comments, questions about that conversation, dialogue you need to have? Okay. Well, all of the other changes relate to some administrative matters. Are there any that you'd like me to go into detail on?
I guess maybe some clarification. I know we had quite a bit of dialogue on several occasions on one item, and I wasn't able to locate it.
So you're talking about two council members
Yes.
being able to make a motion? Yes, that let's see, let me find it.
It might be good just to review it as well.
Okay. Let me ask for some help if you know where it's at. Mavis?
I went through it and I didn't see it there, Bill.
I actually didn't see it either.
Oh, really?
I didn't see it in there. After the last discussion.
No, actually the intention was to include that. So my apologies if it's not. I thought it was.
So what are the options for that?
Well, you could do that at another time, or we can find the language and have you make a motion to amend it. It may take a couple of minutes to do that. I guess those are your basic options.
If we weren't to review it today, could we sort of have a timeline for when we would do
Well,
it?
you can do it as quickly as you'd like, even at your meeting on Thursday if you wish.
Would everybody be comfortable with that?
Proposed language, so it should be.
Okay.
Yes, there was language, and it was
But we can do
intended
it
to
on
be
Thursday.
included.
Thursday would be great. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any others? My apologies on that one.
So would we still vote for the norms and rules of procedure?
So yes, if you're comfortable, you can proceed for consideration of the changes.
Well, in light of that discussion, if there are no further comments, I'll go ahead and make a motion that we adopt the proposed resolution 2014-1.
And Bill, do we need to add this additional
13.
language at this time too?
Yes, thank you
yeah.
for that reminder.
Sorry, Councilmember Gochner, there's a sentence that we need to make sure is in here. That is, the election of the vice chair also follows the same process as the election of the chair.
Yes, so the language that needs to be included, what we're suggesting is the same process is utilized for the election of the vice chair, then both the chair and the vice chair are sworn in.
So I would go ahead and make the motion with that amended language added.
I'll second.
We have a motion to adopt proposed resolution 2013-26 with the amended language included from Councilmember Gochner and a second from Councilmember Heyer. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Gochner,
Aye.
Councilmember Heyer,
Aye.
Councilmember Stevens,
Aye.
Councilmember Van Hoosier,
Aye.
Councilmember Wicks,
Aye.
Vice Chair Garner,
Aye.
Chair Blair.
Aye, that passes. Next up is cancellation of meetings. Proposed cancellation of the study session of January 6th, 2014, the second special council meeting of January 6th, 2014, and the regular meeting of January 7th, 2014.
Mr. Chair, can I just clarify, because you adopted the changes in the rules, you no longer need the two meetings we had noticed, the study session and the regular meeting, to consider straw poll process. And then also for January 7th, Weber State is celebrating the 125th anniversary, and you've been invited to participate in events. So the request is that you cancel the meeting on the 7th and add a meeting, a special meeting on the 9th, on Thursday the 9th, to accomplish all that we would have done on Tuesday. Oh, sorry. So if you can take those separately, the cancellation first and then the special meeting second.
Chair Blair, I would move that we cancel the January 6th study session and the second special council meeting of January 6th,
Second.
and the regular
And the
council meeting
regular.
of January 7th, sorry.
I'll second that.
We have a motion from Councilmember Heyer to cancel the following meetings listed under Council Business B, and a second from Vice Chair Garner. This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. And next is item C, to schedule that special meeting for Thursday, January 9th, 2014.
Chair Blair, I would make a motion that we schedule a special council meeting for Thursday, January 9th, 2014.
Second.
We have a motion to schedule the special council meeting on Thursday, January 9th, 2014 from Councilmember Wicks and a second from Vice Chair Garner. This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes. Next is reports from the Planning Commission. Mr. Montgomery.
Mr. Chair and members of the council, you have before you today for your consideration a request to amend the zoning ordinance. Let me just kind of explain what has taken place. Back in 2000, the city enacted a regulation that prohibited in the commercial zones pre-manufactured buildings, buildings that had exterior, mainly exterior metal walls. This is an example of, in some commercial areas prior to this regulation, of buildings that have been built. And as we looked at our commercial zones, we felt that there needed to be a better architectural quality to the buildings in commercial areas, and so that regulation was in place. As time has gone on, the use of metal, I'd call it architectural metal, it's hard to define what is architectural metal and what is prefabbed. But the idea of architectural metal has taken on in architecture, and we have buildings in the CBD zone, the MU zone, which have been developed, which now use architectural metals, such as Bingham Cyclery and Gear 30. These were done in the CBD and the MU zones, which didn't have that restriction. So came last fall, we were approached by Westland Ford to make a revision to their building using architectural metals. They are in a commercial zone, and the present ordinance would prohibit them from doing what they wanted to do. And so the request for you today is to consider revising the ordinance regarding those limitations on architectural metal, that they could be applied in C3 buildings zoned C3. That is really a trend nowadays of architectural metals. There's a lot of buildings that you'll see throughout the country where metal becomes a predominant building, and they are different than the typical pre-manufactured building that we've seen over many years. As the Planning Commission looked at this, one of the things they considered is, what is the difference between this building or the other buildings I showed you and some of these earlier buildings? What things make the distinction besides just the fact that it has metal? So the ordinance that we're looking at today tries to outline those distinctions. And what we see in those distinctions is that generally the new buildings, they have glazing to them. They have roof lines and parapets that undulate. There's different heights to those roof lines and parapets, and they're not just flat walls on the side. And so as we looked at those and said, okay, those are some important things to make distinctions between the modern architectural trends and pre-manufactured buildings. And so it's determined that those would be the key three factors that help make a distinction to allow architectural metals on some buildings in the commercial zone where they would still be prohibited in other buildings. Again, the pre-manufactured type buildings. So the ordinance you have before you today for consideration addresses the fact that if there's a certain amount of glass to the building, if it has at least 60% glass, then architectural metal can be used because you've got a good mixture of materials there, and you can see through into the building. If it has a lesser amount of glazing, 20%, between 20% and 60%, that could still be considered as an appropriate building if it then has the other two items, the roof line parapet distinctions in terms of height variations, and the walls project out. There's not just one flat, straight wall, but they've got modules of different building faces, and those things then add architectural interest. Those three things then become an item that says if the building can meet those requirements, the Planning Commission, if it's between 20 and 60% glazing, can approve that type of building in the C3 zone. If it's over 60% glazing, then the staff can approve it. And that's the recommendation that's before you today, is the consideration of that amendment to the ordinance.
Does that make any distinction to the material itself, though?
It does not, in terms of saying the architectural metal, what it says. A key word is there, it's got to be new. We wanted to avoid someone salvaging something from another building and then adding it to the front of the building. We say new architectural metal.
Okay.
Again, the idea that they're really involved with an architect, they're involved in design and consideration of how this building looks to the community.
Okay, thank you.
Montgomery, what about allowing stone or rock or something like that? Are those still allowed?
Those are still allowed. Those are
They're still
fine.
allowed, okay.
All we're talking about is architectural metal.
Okay, just the metal.
Right.
But in the ordinance itself, that is allowed?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And
Does that address the concerns of the two commissioners who voted no on the process?
well, the one commissioner, Commissioner Blaisdell, really felt staff could handle the other one too with these three criteria that were established, and didn't see the need for the commission to look at it. The rest of the commissioners felt, though, they would like to be able to make those value judgments with those three criteria if it's between 20 and 60% glass. The other commissioner who voted no felt that a building should not be all metal. There should be the various other materials added to it. So I'd probably say no, it doesn't answer their questions. but I think there's enough guidance here that it helps to make a distinction between the pre-manufactured buildings, which we still have concern of in the commercial zones, and other buildings which are using architectural metals.
Do we have any restraints on somebody just throwing up a metal building and calling it good? I mean, the example there was pretty.
Well, we do in that, okay, we don't allow them in any commercial zones presently.
Okay.
And if the ordinance we're considering today is that if they want to do a metal-sided building, it's got to be 60% glass, at least on the facade. So all of a sudden, you don't have that as the major material because 60% has got to be glazing. Any other questions? I do know there's some people here interested in this moving forward, so they're here today too.
We'll receive public input if they want. Okay, yeah, we'll now receive public input on this proposed ordinance.
Good afternoon. My name is Roy Bosley. I represent Project Management Consultants. We have been retained by Johnny Russo and the Russo family with regard to Westland Ford. We are acting as owners' representatives. I'd like to tell you a little bit about the team that we've assembled for this project. Our general contractor will be Kier Construction. I believe Steve Kier is with us today. I'm sorry, excuse me.
Not a problem.
Don't turn around. We have Troy Anderson with us with Dixon Architects, who will be more than happy to explain the fenestration, the glazing, the type of metal that is being used on this building. What we'd want to indicate to you is that this is the concept that Ford Motor Company is using throughout the country. Major car dealerships such as Westland Ford, such as Merrill Bean, which is across the street from Westland Ford, are doing what is called branding. And what you saw a moment ago is a reflection of the branding that Ford Motor Company intends to use on all of their dealerships. We would hope that you would find it in favor. We meet the glazing requirement. We are over 20% on the glazing. And there is fenestration throughout the building. We're using multiple different types of panels. It's kind of interesting to look at the history of the insulated metal panel or the composite panel that's started many years ago, primarily for the use on airports. And it was an insulated panel system. Alucobond was the original manufacturer of this type of panel. It's being used, the type of panel that's being used or proposed to be used on the Ford product is used on airports. I've used it on airports throughout the world. And it's becoming more and more prevalent. We would ask your favorable consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other further comment? If not, a motion?
I would just say, we allow stucco. I think the metal material is probably more durable and suited to our climate than stucco, and I don't see a problem with allowing its use in our C3 zone. So with that, I would make a motion that we adopt the architectural metals zone text amendment, which is proposed ordinance 2014-1.
I second it.
We have a motion to adopt proposed ordinance 2014-1 from Councilmember Wicks and a second from Councilmember Heyer. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Heyer.
Aye.
Councilmember Stevens.
Aye.
Councilmember Van Hoosier.
Aye.
Member Wicks.
Aye.
Councilmember Gochner.
Aye.
Vice Chair Garner.
Aye.
Chair Blair.
Aye, that passes. Okay. Next up is Need that tissue box.
Yours is empty.
No.
The smile on
Yeah.
my face, what can I say?
Opportunity for an outgoing council member to share some comments with us. Councilmember Van Hoosier.
You know, this has been probably one of the most wonderful experiences of my life, other than raising my kids and my family and being a teacher. But this was very unexpected on my part to be on the city council, and I was privileged to serve, and I've loved every minute of it, and especially the people that I have worked with and become friends with and almost feel like family. That's the hard part. But I really want to thank my family and, of course, the friendships that I have and acquaintances that I've met along the campaign trail that have always remained very special. And I think they still will, even when I'm not in office. I do expect a phone call because they don't know I'm gone and ask me to, bring something forward or to help with a problem. So I'm excited about that still. I have to thank, of course, Mayor Caldwell, Mark Johnson. They've done an outstanding job of keeping the council informed. It's been a wonderful relationship, working relationship with you guys. I don't think we could ask for better. And I don't know how else to express that other than thank you very much. And it's just been, you've been very kind and considerate and keeping us informed. And that, to me, is the most important communication we could have between council. I'd also like to thank the administrative staff. I see Jay over there. And, of course, Justin, and I call Perry Huffaker the man because the guys on the back row back here, even though they're very seldom seen, are the ones that make this city work. And that's whether it's water, no matter what it happens to be, they're the ones that keep this going. And I can't tell you how much I've enjoyed watching them participate together, come together, and make things work. Things that probably would never, ever happen if it hadn't been for their ingenuity and their responsibility and their love for the city of Ogden. And that's basically what it is. The legal staff, Gary, Mira, Buck, I see others in the room that are legal staff that always keep us on the straight and narrow. And when we think that we have an idea that's not going to go forward, they're sure to make us understand what the legality is and how it will impact our citizens, because that's what we're here and that's what we're all about. I would also like to say something about the fire department. As we see, many of the firemen are here, Chief Matthews, and of course our distinguished police department. And it's sad to say that I experienced that 2 years ago, and hope it never happens again. And I know you're working very diligently and very hard to make sure that you protect our citizens in the way they should be protected and that they feel safe. And from my perspective, if anything happens to me or I need you, I know that I'm going to get the very best. So I can't compliment you more. Greg Montgomery, I don't know, you didn't leave. Good. I was afraid maybe you left. I think, the planning staff, our planning commission, all the people that work so hard to make sure that things are done right in Ogden. And we do have a fabulous historic fabric in Ogden, and we need to maintain that. We need to be vigilant, and everybody needs to take part in it because it is our history. It's part of our commerce. It's the most wonderful thing that we have to offer in our community. Then I'm going to go to the council staff. Mavis, I know you're in the room. You keep us going and clicking along, and it's always a pleasure to work with you and have your smiling face and know that when people walk in with you and Jenny, between the two of you, they feel comfortable and satisfied with the product or whatever has to happen. Glenn, the same thing for you. You're new to the staff, but I certainly have enjoyed our time together and preparation of materials and things that I personally wanted to work on, demolition by neglect. Janine, I think she could run a small country, so she really knows the ins and outs because she was worked in a lot of departments in the city. And that's been extremely helpful for us to know what's happening in Fleet or wherever it happens to be. Bill Cook, of course, our executive director. There really are not a lot of words to say other than it's spectacular. It's been a wonderful partnership. It's been a wonderful friendship. And the same thing goes for the council because we have all become very good friends. We know about our families and our kids, and we still cherish all those memories and the moments we've had together. And I think last and not least are all the employees in Ogden City that make us all look so good. And I think Ogden should be so very, very proud of not only what this council has accomplished, but all the councils before us, because we don't sit up here by ourselves. We sit on top of people who have been before us and have done a fabulous job. So, thank you.
Thank you. Susie, I would just like to say I had the honor of coming in with you. We were, well, it was my first time, but you were being elected again. And as I was out campaigning and meeting with people, it was an honor to have people ask me if I knew you and have my name associated with you. And that honor ran over into the council. It has been a treat for me to sit. I used to get to sit by you and learn from you and work right alongside you and be with you every Tuesday night. And I just want to thank you for the many things that you taught me and helped me with. And I appreciate the style and the manner in which you held this position. And I just want to let you know how much I think of you. I don't know if there's any other.
I have something. I think I've served on the council with Susie longer than anyone else. And when she first came on the council, we had the privilege of choosing her as a council. That's not something that happens often, but we actually got to pick who served on the council with us, and we chose you, and for a number of reasons. We appreciate the tremendous amount of time and effort you've devoted to serving Ogden over the years and doing things to make our community better and preserving our past. And with you, it's truly a labor of love. That shows in everything you do. And I just really appreciate the time you've spent serving Ogden over the years in various capacities, and most importantly, on the council with me. And you will truly be missed.
I know, Susie, I'm going to jump in here. You mentioned this in your comments, but we are family. And it's been a pleasure to work beside you, with you, not just as a council, but in many other community things that you've done. And you truly are a champion and a pioneer for Ogden City. And it's been a pleasure to work with Dwayne also. And Dwayne's there, and I know that my wife and I appreciate him being there, because many times it's our spouses that are out there supporting us and lifting us up. And I couldn't have said it better for everything that you said about the city and the efforts we've made. And I truly believe that we are better off because we've had you as a council member. So thank you.
I guess we're just going down the line. Susie, I said it the last time we met on the 17th, but you know, I learned what passion is from you. You really, you have when you have a cause, you work hard, and I really appreciate that. I think that's necessary. You know, if we could have all of our citizens as passionate about the good of Ogden and the wonderful place that this is, and the need to continue to make it better. Oh, there'd be no stopping. But I also agree that, you know, you have mentioned in your comments about the great administration and the staff and all the employees. It's a real privilege to live in Ogden, and you've been a good figurehead and a champion for Ogden, and I appreciate working with you the past 2 years.
I guess the main goal for any politician is, when I leave, do I leave it in a better condition than when I started? And I think you can say yes to that dream and that goal. Your service to the citizens has just been overwhelming, and we appreciate that. And your dedication and desire to make Ogden a better place, and your knowledge and insights on many issues. I think a lot of those issues come out when you're a teacher, because you'd always ask, what about this for the kids? And so we'd have to consider the importance of many of the issues concerning the kids, and your love for the historical fabric. And I think you said that very appropriately, of Ogden. That's what makes our city a special place, is because we can preserve some of those things that relate back to the historical aspect, and most important of all, the sacrifice and the time. But the reason you can make that is because of Dwayne and many of us, for our own companions, are able to help us to serve the way we should serve. And you mentioned many things: demolition by neglect, the museum, Pioneer Museum at Union Station, the Ogden Pioneer Days celebration. You've been involved with all those things that add character to our city. And surely your mark on Ogden has been very impact and felt. And when you go up and down the street, your big paycheck will be, yes, this is a shining star in the West, and we appreciate that.
So I think you guys have said everything and said it eloquently. And all I would add, Susie, is that I don't think your passion is leaving, it's just shifting. So lucky Ogden.
Susie, if I can too, I've had an opportunity to work with you in a number of different capacities, both through the Pioneer Heritage Foundation and the Egyptian Theater Foundation with my role as RAMP. But you and I were able to share something really unique in terms of a similar campaign trail, and I got to know you really well through that. And I've always been extremely impressed with your compassion and your integrity, but most of all, your focus for the good of Ogden. And I think as we've gone through this last couple of years together, that's really resonated with me. Any project that came up, personalities aside, everything else, you were able to maintain focus on what is going to be the best for the citizenry here. And I think you're a shining example of what public service can and should be. You've served with grace, humility, all the great attributes. I agree, everybody's had fantastic things to say, but I consider you a good personal friend, and I congratulate you on your service, and I think you've set a great example for so many of us to follow, and I thank you for that.
Okay. Now we have someone to fill that vacant seat. We'd like to ask Marcia White to come take her place up here. Do we turn the time over to the city recorder? Okay. Just turn the time over to the city recorder. Okay. Yeah, from the city recorder, right? So now we'll have the city recorder come up. Sign him here.
Afternoon. Councilmember Blair, Councilmember Garner, Councilmember Stevens, and Councilmember White. If you'd all please rise, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Utah,
and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
I will discharge the duties
that I will
Discharge the duties
of office with fidelity.
of my office with fidelity.
Now we'd like to allow our new council member, if she has any comments for us.
Sure, I have some comments. First, I just want to say I so appreciate everything that Susie's done. I echo everything that everyone said up here. She has given so much time to our community, and I'm just really appreciative. Secondly, I'd like to just say how grateful I am to be serving. I'm excited that I get to serve Ogden and the people that are in this community as well. Lastly, I'm excited to sit here with a group of people that I know there will be some joys and some frustrations, but we all threw our hat into this ring, and we did it because we love the place that we live, work, and play. And I'm so excited that I get to be part of that, and not many people dare to do that, and I'm so glad that I got to be able to do this, or I get to be able to do this. And thank you so much. I'll pay them later.
Yeah. Any other comments from?
I would just like to welcome Councilmember White to our city council, and if there's anything I can do to assist you, I'd be willing to do that. So I welcome you to this group.
I echo that also. Welcome, and we're excited to have you. Next is election of council chair. So we will first open the nominations for council chair.
Chair Blair, I would make a motion to nominate Richard Heyer for council chair.
I'll second that.
We have a motion to nominate Richard Heyer as council chair and a second from Vice Chair Garner.
Actually, Mr. Chair, you don't need a motion for these. So you just nominate, you'll close
sorry,
the
just open.
nominations, and then you'll take action.
So we'll accept nominations for chair, and Rich Heyer has been nominated. Any other nominations, or we can close the nominations? Okay. We will close the nominations. Richard Heyer, would you like to say anything?
You know, in as much as there's only one nomination, if I could save my comments till the vote is passed, I'd appreciate that.
Okay. Then consideration of motion to select council chair candidate.
With that, I would make a motion to select Richard Heyer as council chair.
We have a motion to accept Councilmember Heyer as council chair by Councilmember Wicks, and a second from Vice Chair Garner. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Blair.
Aye.
Councilmember Garner.
Aye.
Councilmember Gochner.
Aye.
Councilmember Heyer.
Aye.
Councilmember Stevens.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember Wicks.
Aye.
Thank
Congratulations.
you. You know, it's been said that it takes a pretty darn good speech to beat no speech at all. So I will keep my comments very short. This is not about me today anyway. It's more about our newly elected officials, as well as Councilwoman Van Hoosier and her service. So, but I will commit to you that I will try my very best to make sure that communication is as open and complete as possible, that all ideas and will be able to be presented and understood and acted on in the best means possible for the citizens of Ogden. And I am so grateful for the honor and the trust that you've given to me, and I try not to let you down.
And now for the election of the vice chair. We'll now open nominations for council vice chair.
I would make a nomination to to have Caitlin Gochner as vice chair.
Second that.
Bart Blair.
With that, we will. Any others? Okay. Okay.
And just close the
Yep,
nomination.
we'll close the nominations and hear from those nominated. Caitlin.
Okay, I guess I'll just start out by thanking our current leadership, Chair Blair and Vice Chair Garner. I thank you for all your energy and extra efforts that you've put in on behalf of all the council. And I would just like to add that I'm excited to work with our new chair, I guess Chair Heyer. I think there are lots of good things happening in our community, and I look forward to helping you in a supporting role.
And I would just like to thank Councilmember Stevens for nominating me and thinking of me. But at this time, I've been able to serve in council leadership, and I have some other things that I need to do at our business and with my family. So I too would just like to express my support for our new council chair and Councilmember Gochner as vice. And with that, a consideration of motion to select council vice chair.
A move to select Caitlin Gochner as vice chair.
Second.
We have a motion to accept Councilmember Gochner as council vice chair by Councilmember Heyer, I don't know, and a second from Councilmember White. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Blair.
Aye.
Councilmember Garner.
Aye.
Councilmember Gochner.
Aye.
Councilmember Heyer.
Aye.
Councilmember Stevens.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember Wicks.
Okay, that passes. Congratulations. And now we'll move on to the oath of the office for council chair and vice chair. I don't know if we move.
Chair Heyer and Vice Chair Gochner, if you please rise. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Utah, and that I will discharge the duties
I will discharge the duties
of my office with fidelity.
of office with fidelity.
Congratulations.
Okay. Motion.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
We have a motion from Councilmember Wicks to adjourn and a second from Chair Heyer. This is a voice vote. All in favor? Aye.
Time to party.